What are you saying, lads? Welcome back to the We Love You Arsenal YouTube channel. We're here again with a transfer video. Our work rate has been sensational recently. Quite like a player we're going to speak about today, where there have been developments. We did a video on him recently, and at that point, it had been reported by a reliable journalist, but I sort of thought it's quite an outside chance we get this. We'll have more priorities, and then if we can get Pepe out, maybe we'll make a late move for him. It appears that we're making more of a radical, quick move at this stage. A lot of reports about RAPHINHA that we're supposedly very close to the signing. I'm not sure it's that advanced. Transfer Checker, who I like to reference, who is a very reliable source, said that we have, what did he say, hell to leather attempt to sign him. Like very aggressive talks, trying to nip in before Barcelona can afford him after they sell a player, nip in before Chelsea or Spurs potentially come in. So exciting times for this one. I think we spoke about the player and his similarities to Saka, how creative he is, progressive passing that he offers. I think he's slightly different to Saka in that Saka's more would like to get more shots off and get into more advanced positions. RAPHINHA, there's more emphasis on him dropping a little bit deeper to progress the ball. But maybe that's because, he was playing for Leeds and he needed to do more ball progression. As I said before, hard worker is really, really good defensive stats as well, which will be good. Another player can press, so we're building more of a pressing machine as we go on. But anyway, Rob, I wanted to sort of talk about, there's been a lot to talk about, do we need this player? And we both spoke in the past about how we should be looking to bring in more players who can look to close the gap on the likes of Liverpool and City and just enhance our squad. However, I think where I would have not concern, but like a little few queries with this deal is that, does this mean we're sort of parking the Tielemans deal or the left 8 deal that I think we need to do, which is more urgent and pressing, should be the priority over a deal like this? What do you make of that, Rob?
Yeah, I really get where you're coming from there, because it's sort of strange that we're looking at signing a right winger to compete with Bukayo Saka, but if we were going to sign Yuri Tielemans, it sort of seems like it'll be him or Xhaka, and I think why not just sign him anyway and have the competition in that role as well as on the wing. I hope this deal doesn't influence that. I'm not totally convinced it will. I think that there's been a lot of discussion about potentially why our interest in Tielemans might have cooled as the tabloids and papers, and in fact reputable sources are saying as well. I think that it's sort of might be a little ploy by Arsenal to try and negotiate with Leicester, say that we're not interested. We did that last season with Ramsdale. But yeah, I hope that we can still get both over the line, because I would agree with you that we shouldn't just be sort of settling for Xhaka in that left 8 role or Tielemans. We should definitely be looking to bring in competition there anyway.
Yeah, as much as I do think in an ideal world we do make a signing like this, as expensive it may be, I do think we are slightly more better placed to deal with the Saka overload with the signings of Jesus and Vieira, both of whom have operated on the right and can do that. So there's less reliance on him already with those two signings. So I think if we didn't bring in a right winger, we could get away with it, as exciting as RAPHINHA is. However, when I look at the left 8 role, I think the reports are it may suggest it may depend on Granit Xhaka's future. And I just sort of think we should be looking to upgrade Xhaka in that position anyway. Not that Xhaka didn't adapt well to it, but it's not his natural game, being in those sort of more advanced pockets. And I do really think it could be transformational having a more creative player on that side, which would unlock whoever's playing on the left wing. And, if we brought in a Lisandro Martinez, who can play a similar role to Tomiyasu on the left-hand side that Tomiyasu does on the right, then it would allow that left 8 to be more advanced as well. So, I don't know. I just feel like Tielemans is the should be, or that it doesn't have to be Tielemans, but whoever wants to be in that left 8 role should be. We want in that left 8 role should be the priority for me. Back to Rafinha though as the player. What do you think about the deal potentially getting done? Do you think it's too much of a significant outlay on that player? Yeah, just give me more thoughts on Rafinha in general.
I wouldn't say it's too significant an outlay at all. If I'm being totally honest, just because, as I've spoken about before, that left-footed right winger is really hard to come by in the modern game, especially the ones that are actually good. We spent £72 million on one of them, and unfortunately they weren't that good. But it does show sort of the market is there for those sort of players, that they're expensive, and if Arteta wants 2 of those players in his squad, he's going to have to spend a lot of money to get a second one in there. But yeah, I'd say Rafinha is worth the money. I think one of the things that excites me most about him is his sort of ball striking ability. We know that that's something that Saka just needs to work on a little bit. Rafinha, when he hits a ball, he hits it true, and that's really exciting. And you mentioned some of those stats. I was actually reading a piece on The Athletic about him earlier today. They were doing a Manchester United shopping bag thing, and they said they should be looking at Rafinha. A lot of his stats are a bit skewed because of sort of like the hero ball he was playing at Leeds last season, which basically means he was doing absolutely everything for them. And when he would be deployed in a more functional setup, a bit like how Leeds were in their first season back in the Premier League. They were much better, and they weren't so dependent on Rafinha. We saw a very pure right winger, and I think whilst they're not the same, they're very similar. And despite what people are sort of saying on social media about Rafinha potentially playing alongside Saka in some capacity, he is being brought in to compete directly with him on the right wing. But I also think it's interesting, the conversation that you sort of were touching upon about what bringing in Lisandro Martinez would mean for this deal. I agree. I think it would enable us to play a slightly more advanced player in that left 8 position. Maybe even Bukayo Saka. There's been a lot of talk about that. He's played that position very well in the past. So yeah, it just opens up a lot of possibilities for Arsenal, and I wouldn't say it's too much money at all.
And you said he'll be competing directly with Saka, and I do think, yeah, on paper that makes sense. Do you think there's any scope? You did say Saka in the left 8 there, for either of those players to be playing more on the left, because I think we've seen a few clips of Rafinha doing it, and he can be effective there. I think both of them are better on the right, but do you think either of them may be moved over to the left? Because on paper, our best 3 or front 3 would be Rafinha, Jesus, and Saka. So you want all 3 of them on the pitch at the same time, if possible.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that in some games, I mean, you just look at Manchester City, there's so much room to be flexible with the way you set up when you've got a lot of quality footballers. I think
Who are versatile.
Yeah, exactly. And you see, Saka's had time on the left. I think he's much better on the right, but he can do a job on the left. Same with Rafinha. It seems that he can sort of operate out there if needed. I like Saka in that left 8. I think that's a really interesting one. And I would like to see that developed. I think maybe that's something that Saka will sort of develop into later in his career as he sort of develops, but he's already such an intelligent footballer. And I think there's been that thing going around of Partey in the 6, Saka on the left, Odegaard or Vieira on the right, Rafinha on the right wing, Jesus, and then Martinelli on the left. And that's really exciting if we really want to go at an opposition in one game.
Yeah. We'll wait and see what happens with this deal. It is an interesting one. It's an exciting one. It's exciting. We're showing genuine interest in a lot of these really good players. And yeah, I just expect things to heat up even more in the next couple of weeks as we get towards pre-season commencing. I think the players are back in like a week or less than a week. Not all of them, so probably the players that didn't go away to international duty. But yeah, we are waiting for a Fabio Vieira announcement. I've got my Arsenal notifications on Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. They are teasing us with this. They've so far their last 4 tweets have been Fabi. Waiting for the O. It would be funny if it was just a complete coincidence, but it does feel a bit designed. Anyway, any parting words, Rob, on this, on anything really?
Exciting that the club are showing such intent. I've said that before, and yeah, go and check out the Drunk Cast if you haven't already. That is well worth the watch, and it's up on this YouTube channel that you're watching this video on right now.
I second that. Go and watch that, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.